we got some different kind of views in Margaret Cavendish. It's exciting. While Descartes is a dualist and thinks there's fundamentally two different kinds of substance, material substance and immaterial substance, bodies and minds, Cavendish thinks that there's really only one, and it's material. There is a distinction to be made. It's the natural world. The whole of the natural world is material for Cavendish. But we can still talk about God, and God is going to be beyond the natural world. And so what we say about the natural world being all material doesn't apply. You might naturally wonder about Cavendish's views of God, though. In The World's Olio, a work we're not reading this time around, she writes, "It is better to be an atheist than a superstitious man. For in atheism there is humanity and civility from man to man, but superstition regards no humanity, but begets cruelty to all things, even to themselves." But in the selections we're reading from the Philosophical Letters, Cavendish does distinguish between a demigod, if you will, of nature, the totality of the natural world, and God. The nature is infinite. Nature has understanding, has knowledge. Nature is the totality of the natural world, but it's organized. So nature does the organizing, right there, and nature does the knowing. But nature's material. If we want a God, that's going to be an immaterial something. So Cavendish has that distinction. Right? There's a God beyond the natural world, and then there's nature itself. And nature itself includes you and me. It includes all these material things. You might think not having to worry about an immaterial soul, being a materialist in general, that Cavendish's philosophy is going to feel much more normal to us today. But no, it's pretty weird. So we've got nature as a whole in Cavendish. That's interesting. Something kind of like maybe a world soul in an older philosophy. Additionally, Cavendish seems to be a vitalist. The world is all material, sure, but these material things are all living, knowing things. There's life everywhere. That's an unusual view. It's an interesting view. The last thing that I want to just introduce before we get into our reading is that Cavendish puts a priority on motion. And this is one of the issues that she's going to have with Descartes, one of the strong differences that she has. For Descartes, there is material things, and they're passive. God has to come in and be the force that moves material things, because by themselves, material things are just inert, passive. For Cavendish, even ontologically, even thinking about what's real, she's going to say Descartes' wrong to think that bodies exist and bodies have motions, right? So Descartes thinks of bodies as extended things with size, shape, and then having size and shape, they're capable of motion. They have to have some degree of motion or rest. Cavendish doesn't want to separate body from motion like that. In fact, instead of thinking of things as kind of moving shapes, she wants to talk about them as figured motions. How significant is that difference, right? Putting the motions of things at the very heart of what it is to be. What it is to be that sort of thing is to have that sort of motion. It's an interesting view. It's a compelling view, perhaps. One we should think about more. I hope you can join us for the discussion. And if you can't make it, then I hope you'll find the readings, find the website, find the readings, and enjoy the discussion.